Peace from Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of African Liberation School, broadcasting live every Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here via Get This Wisdom Live on YouTube. We are here with our second installment this evening, and we have the illustrious Henensu in the building, and we're doing a review of the illustrious offering honored and given to us by our brother, the chief priest of Henensu, Aankhu Benu. So without any further ado, it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce the son and present the others. Tonight's guest, you see the panel is popping up in here. You understand what I'm saying? And we got the illustrious Henensu. So we're going to go through and allow everyone at this time to introduce themselves. So we're going to start with the chief priest. Aankhu Benu, the floor is yours.
All right, Uncle Johnson there, the TEP, life, prosperity, and health, peace. You know, this is brother Aankhu Benu, chief priest of Henensu. You know, and I say, you know, it's an honor and privilege to be here and to you know, to have the honor to speak on, my work, remembering Osir on this illustrious platform, Get This Wisdom magazine, African Liberation School with the good brother Knowledge Born Allah. And happy to have, my family, Henensu in the building. And we ready to build, I say, ready to go, I say.
Okay, next up. Zariak. Taji, I guess you could go, GJ. It's all good, man. You had already broke the glass.
Hey, it's all good then. Uncle Jasaneb Abat, it's your brother RBG Taji, the Black Fist. You know what I'm saying? So we in here with the Henensu Abat getting ready to pop off this second installment of the review of the great work of the chief of Henensu. We're getting ready to go over this remembering Osir. So, we're here with the family. It's always a good vibe every time, always a great build. So for those of y'all tuning in, stick tight and we're gonna make it happen, Captain.
That's right. Sis Zariak.
Sorry, you don't guess. I say asking for you to introduce yourself to the viewers.
I'm sorry, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'll tell you about Uncle Justin there.
All right. That's all we gonna get. Corey, what's going on, GG?
That's a cool about Uncle Jasaneb. I'm just ready to go into detail about whatever's thrown my way, man. My son didn't end up going to sleep like I thought he was. So
Hey, he said he ain't missing this. He ain't missing this. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving down the line, Sister Amina. Sister Amina, you in the building?
To you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Loud and clear.
Hotel Pool about Uncle Justin.
Uncle Justin. Oh man, the good doctor. We lost the good doctor. Oh, there we go. Uncle Justin, we got you.
Okay. To you.
See, y'all have to bear with me. My phone is stuck on the video chat.
It's all good. All right. You know you got to do this introduction. I ain't going there.
Okay. GG. I say, Uncle Jasaneb, Sinu Unc Rapata. That's Dr. Unc Rapata. If you would introduce yourself to the viewers.
To you. I'd like to say Uncle Jasaneb to the family. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Uncle Jasaneb to everybody present. And I'd like to say, is that God born or knowledge born?
Knowledge born.
Knowledge born. All right. I want to extend the greetings to you, brother, for the platform, for actually being able to allow us to actually congregate to raise our vibrations even further. I'm a naturopathic physician, I'm into the Kemetic healing arts, African holistic medicine. I'm also a student of Patah. I'm a craftsman. So, I make fine jewelry, adornment, what we call it, protective wear. And I'm in the community doing a good work, trying to resurrect our people.
To you. Glad you could join us on this evening.
I'm honored.
All right. I understood. I was talking about the pillars. Actually, you understand what I'm saying? You know what I was saying, but it's all good. It's all
Okay.
good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, allow me to introduce Farid, great royal wife, Queen Mother Marie Neter, second Aankhu Benu. And I say, if any of y'all can tolerate Aankhu Benu, and see any goodness, any goodness in Aankhu Benu, Marie Neter, is probably responsible for that, largely responsible for that. She the reason Warwick kid, like me. So, we'll we'll take it there. Marie Neter, second Aankhu Benu.
You got to give me a minute to catch myself after that introduction that I feel I am largely undeserving of.
Y'all just sit and watch.
Hetepu by Aankhu Benu. Look at everybody in the building. I'm loving it. Let me get on the camera so y'all can see them. I'm a real girl. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, sorry. I don't know what to say. Yeah, just grateful that we all could meet today for this breakdown of a classic work that is definitely long overdue. Something that I didn't get to say about the work last week is that one of the things about being married to an author and an introvert is they spend a lot of time in their head. So one of the things that I got out of this book, beyond what was shared, was just being able to see what's inside the mind of God. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to take a knife and a fork to the book tonight.
Peace.
Want to tell? Oh, hold on. I gotta introduce you. Let me introduce. Okay. I say to the to the viewers, the other reason why y'all stomach me. You know what I mean? Knowledge Bone referred to my wives as the twin pillars, and it's absolutely the truth. Without them, this old building will probably keep on leaning, as the church folks say. You know what I mean? So definitely, I want to introduce my wife, Henensu Warwick, great royal wife, Queen Mother Warwick Kid Benu.
Aankhu Benu, peace, Abad. It is an honor and a pleasure to be back on this platform once again. Good to see so many people in the building. Packed house tonight. Yeah, but it's great to see everyone on here, and I'm glad we were able to come back together to once again review the great Remembering Osir, the great work of Aankhu Benu. And I'm just ready to, get it cracking. That's all I got for y'all. Love y'all.
To you.
All right, Nasut, you got the floor. You can open this up in the way that we supposed to. You understand what I'm saying? Got the floor.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, first and foremost, before we go on and get into this, this work, the subject matter, we want to start things off in the right order as African people. And the proper way to do that is to pay homage and salute rank to our great lineage. I want to first and foremost say, okay, the salutation of power, Father, Mother, Neter, divine Father and Mother, Kepa Ruim, Nunet, Shu, Tufnut, Bataru, Nebu, who comes forth as, right? The divine Father and Mother who manifests as, who comes forth as, Et, Ra, Ra'it, Yeshu, Tufnut, Hiwataru, the forces of nature, divine forces of nature, Gab, Osir, Heruwa, Sutech, Oset, Anpu, Sohuti, Heru, Sa, Oset, Subek, Dwaimu, Bu, all of the divine forces of nature, Newton, Geb, Osir, Heru the elder, Heru Behudet, Sutes, Oset, Nephet, Anpu, Wapuwat, Tahuti, Oset, Subek, Netaratin Yitamut Neter, Der Kinti Aminti you, Jerti you, Imu Hat, Imu Ba, Tupu, O, Shepsu, Yaku, Hetsi you. Okay? Salutation of power, Father, Mother, Neter, who manifests as Osir, foremost, first, chief amongst the Westerners, the ancestors, the legendary ones, the ancient ones, those of yore, those from before, those at the head, those in front, the honorable ones, the venerable ones, the praised ones, the enlightened ones, the effective ones. We salute the ancestors. Keparu M. Damed Pin, Henensu, Damed, salutation of power, Father, Mother, Neter, who manifests as this collective, Henensu, and all of the Africans, all of the collective Africans, all of you that are tuning in, and those of you that will be tuning in the future, and even those Africans that ain't tuning in, salute your ancestors and everything that you are a culmination of. I salute and pay homage to you. On the 10, all thanks and praises to the divine. Let's get this thing popping. You heard me?
All right, so now we're gonna approach this work. We laid the overview in regards to hearing the commentary on last week from the family, their initial thoughts. Now I want to get into a critical analysis point from everyone in regards to first thoughts when reading the first couple of chapters of the text. What stood out to you? What are some of the things that you can share with the family? So you don't count. You wrote it. You understand what I'm saying? So we're gonna get into some thoughts from the Abbat in regards to what was it about. The first couple of chapters. We just want to get a feel before we get into it. So whomever would like to share first, we can go.
At the pool.
That's a pool. Good to go.
Okay.
Go.
Just checking. Yeah, I'd like to say that the first thing that stood out in my mind was that how the text is actually written. It's written in a way that is easily digestible. The information is concise. It's to the point, and you can easily explain. You can easily understand where the author is actually trying to take you. I've read a lot of books. I write a little bit myself, and the format that Aankhu Benu has used in articulating these concepts, he's made it very easy for someone not in the tradition to actually read and understand where he's coming from. So I'm appreciative of the format that he chose to write the information and to articulate the culture and the thought of our ancestors.
Okay, to you. The one here. With Corey, Corey, what's going on, Corey? What's on your mind with that?
Okay. Well, for one, with the pool once again, and I want to piggyback off of Uncle Rapatah. The organization of the book is, it's really put in, just in general, the way that the book has been written, it's very, very, very easily understandable. But as well, the organization of the book, I guess, like the way that you put it, I mean, I would say it's very hard to write about our ancestors. You got to learn certain parts first before you can really easily grasp everything. And so he opened up with the story of really the Osir and Oset, and went deep in detail. Just kind of getting you grasped in. If you weren't really knowledgeable about it beforehand, anyway, which I really wasn't. I guess I thought I had a little bit of knowledge on it, but I didn't. So I mean, just the way that he expounded upon that story, alone opened up, letting you know some of the pillars of every African tradition, every African spiritual tradition. There's certain pillars that unify them all, I guess, or that's uniform within them all. That really opened me up because, again, when it comes to any kind of ATRs or whatever, like I really didn't have that good of a background on it. So, yeah, all in all, I would just say that it's very easily understandable, and if you read the whole thing through, you don't have a problem with it. But yeah.
RBG Taji.
Yiggity yump. Yep. Give me 1 second, family. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna give y'all my thoughts.
So, Amina, you wanted to add an interim in the meantime?
To you, to Hotepu, to piggyback off my brothers, it's very consistent and, like he said, easy to digest, and it's a good book to help us all remember and just go back to knowing and becoming aware of ourselves and the condition and state that we're in, currently, presently. And it's a lot of fruit and jewels in there to build off of that for the future. So, and it was just a great read overall. I advise anybody, if they haven't, to go ahead and get it.
Okay.
To you, brother born. I'm back in here. Apologize for the delay, but Yeah, it seems to me that so far the overall consensus, as far as one of the things or the first thing that caught the attention of the Abat was the ease of digestion of the information, the presentation of the information was very concise and easy to digest. Um, but let me digress really quickly. The very first thing that popped out to me when I read the book um, was, I don't have the book right in front of me, but basically the Nisu was saying, "Hey, this book is for us, my people." You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know exactly where at, because like I said, I don't have it in front of me. But he made it very clear who the book was for. So dua nature. Um, and then, but back to the ease of being able to take in the information. The way that the book is written, it's written in a format that's almost as if you're having a conversation with the author. um, the information is not presented in a way that it goes over the reader's head in any form or fashion. Of course, there are certain things that, when presented, you may have a basic level of understanding, and you, of course, as with any work, you have to cross-reference and do your own, research and analysis. But for the most part, Nisu presented the information in a way that anybody interested in the Kemetic culture and spiritual traditions can easily pick it up and follow it, especially if they have, some entry level information, such as the story of Asar and Set, the contention between Heru and Set, and all those things. Um, that that's probably, aside from the information in itself, that's probably the what makes this book so golden, that it presents so much information, but it's not in a way that it'll be too hard for the newcomer to understand. You know, like something like Theophile Obenga, or an ancestor such as Dr. Ben, and all those great illustrious names that we know. For a beginner, that's I personally, wouldn't recommend that for a beginner, because there's so much that you have to, so much back and forth you have to do. But this book was concise and to the point, and presented the information so well that any African who picks it up can easily delve into it and find their way into the tradition, with ease. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Um, Zaviet?
To you.
Just wanted to get your thoughts real quick. I know you got a lot going on.
I'm sorry. Can you ask the question again? I was actually in the middle of going over something.
Okay. We were speaking about the initial chapters in the text. What are some of the things that stood out to you? If you could share, some of those things with us.
You talking about in Remembering Osir?
Yes.
Okay, to you. One of the things that stuck out for me was Baba's. We spent a couple of months almost talking about the Ba Nakah, which I found to be very profound. Also, understanding the true nature of the original Osirian story, as far as the actual characteristics, the misunderstanding of Netket, the misunderstanding of Sutesh, and their character and mannerisms and their reactions to things. The biggest thing that I got out of it was, Baba always speaks about there really is no right or wrong. It's more about experiences and lessons. And from those, if you look at those stories and you come to an understanding of what was really going on at that time, if you don't look at it from right and wrong, the story comes off extremely different when it comes to the betrayal of a sister to another sister. But then when you understand why that makes a difference, the same thing was said. He was fine with his brother until he thought that his brother betrayed him. Although they were totally different, they still lived in peace. So it goes to show that you really got to check yourself more than you got to check other people and your interactions with them to make sure that you're in line, because with the most innocent intentions, sometimes it can be mistaken.
Okay. The pillars. Y'all got a more close relationship than most of us, for the formulation of this book. So uh, the editing and the inspiration and the motivation. I know y'all had to slap Miss Soot around a couple of times and tell them get back to work and all of that. So
that never happened.
So I definitely want to hear y'all thoughts, in regards to this outlook on the text.
To you, I'm gonna have to tap my sister on the shoulder for the initial comments, because I'm up here wrestling these two little girls. So
I got you, sis.
I
I
got
got
it.
you. My initial take on the first few chapters of Remembering Osir is wow. Like, this book is amazing. Just to throw that in there, another again. But the first chapter in the introduction, I really love Aankhu Benu's assessment on the pillars of African traditional religions, or ATRs. He's listed 6 pillars in the book, and I'm gonna read them off just so everybody can just know what these pillars are and how powerful, and how he used them to really work through this book and explain everything to a T. So the first pillar is the acknowledgement of one divine being. Second pillar is this one divine being manifests itself and works through a multiplicity of beings / agencies, so-called deities or lesser gods, all being aspects of the one. The veneration, pillar 3, the veneration approach, becoming acquainted with and realization, communion with this divine being, is accomplished greatly through his many agencies. Pillar 4, the acknowledgement, veneration, interaction with ancestors and their interceding in our affairs, is the communion and communication with the spiritual realm through ritual and divination. This includes deities, the Neteru, and ancestors, Jertu. The last pillar, and the importance of satisfying and uplifting the various agencies of the spirit world through our spiritual, moral cultivation, offerings, and sacrifice for success in life and the realization and actualization of one's innate potential. And he said these are the 6 pillars kept in mind because they will serve as a guide to understanding and using the book. And I just think those pillars, his assessment on the pillars of African traditions, is profound, and it'll help you understand not only the Kemetic tradition, but many ATRs, all the many traditions out there from the African perspective, because they're pretty much all the same. So that's what I enjoy about the first chapter, and then the second chapter is the tradition, telling the Osirian tradition, the story. And those 2 things are important for me in the beginning of Remembering Osir. It helps me remember and guide me through the book as I go along my studies and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I enjoy about that.
Now, how much of this made it to the cut and flow? Because you had to do the editing. You understand what I'm saying? How much of this went to the cut and flow?
How much editing? How much time did it take?
No. How much of what we see, how much of that went to the cut and flow?
Well, you talking about the pillars?
Well, I'm saying in the initial chapters, how much of it, we got all of the jewels. You see what I'm saying? So what the rest of the stuff went to the cut and flow? Was it a lot? Was that a tough process at the beginning, deciding initially what to leave in and what to take out?
When I came into it, starting to editing, the book was massive, and he had to necessarily. It was like not over 900 some pages, and he got it down to 666 pages. With the editing, a whole bunch wasn't cut. I would say we rearranged the font and the size of the pages to make everything fit. But I mean, whatever got cut, man, you gotta see the master, man. You gotta see the God of art.
Okay. Dewan and Ted. I just wanted to look at the intro very quickly. Some things that stood out immediately. Whenever I see a list and I see something spatially represented, I had to ask a question. And I'm glad we got the author here to ask the question too. In regards to the format of the book, was there a particular method that you used to go about the formulation to the book? Because we see some list here. Was this list put together in a particular order for a particular reason? If so, could you give us some of that?
Okay, are we talking about the pillars of African spirituality in particular?
No, just the spatial representation of the book, going, the table of contents, the contents going from chapter to chapter.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. In the same way that we opened up tonight's presentation, with a salutation, with a salute, to the divine, right? To our ancestors, beginning with the source, the infinite, and then getting more and more concentrated, getting more and more specific, more and more particular. From the source to the creator, from the creator to the divine forces of nature, from the nature to our ancestors, and from our ancestors to us. And the book actually is organized in that way. If you notice, I do begin with the introduction, which lays out the pillars, which makes it clear who the book is intended for, and what the purpose of the book is, and who the book is not for. After that, the story, the Osirian tradition, I rendered, this is my rendering of the Osirian tradition based upon the various accounts and the some of the more obscure things, or lesser known things that are found in the various texts. You get into like the coffin text and so-called salt papyrus and all these different things. There's different aspects to the tradition that are a little lesser known. You gotta really dig through the literature of our ancestors in order to get these things. So going into that. So also, the purpose of rendering the story and fleshing it out was to understanding of the qualities, the temperament, the actual personalities that are being portrayed in the story. Also, to use the story as our ancestors did. So as somewhat of a snapshot of what the culture, what the tradition, what the lifestyle, what the purpose of the of the culture is in the form of the story. So reading the Osirian story is the Osirian tradition is a you're reading about your actual spiritual journey. On in the book, there's a chapter called Osir and Heru, subtitled Man's Spiritual Journey. The story about these forces, it represents the journey, Osir's journey to remember her husband, to put him back together again. Our story to remember who we are, our story to reunite with ourselves and to reunite ancestors, and to reunite with the divine within us. you know, that I say that story, the story of Heru and his battles with Sutesh, and our battle with our own personal with Sutesh within us, the confusion, the darkness, the chaos, right, within us. Okay, our own egoism. It's speaks to that, and the way that I laid it out, the initiations of Heru. Okay, giving somewhat of a glimpse of what the procedure, okay, the opening of the mouth ritual, which these are actual rituals that are, you know, performed in our tradition from time immemorial. So this is not, you know, as the gods say, self-styled wisdom in the book. Like these rituals that are being portrayed in the story are the actual rituals that, you know, carried out in the book, you know, in the actual practice of the tradition. So after the story, which is like a snapshot of the you know, the whole thing, we get into you know, the subject of cosmology. Who is Neter? What is Neter? Okay, we get into cosmologies, right? The various cosmologies, you know, which are more than what some people refer to as creation stories. So these are our ancestors' scientific, you know, their scientific layout of the process, the universe coming from a state of chaos into order. This is our ancestors' understanding of how reality is organized and the forces that make up reality and the process of that organization. So these are, you know, our ancestors, you know, of how to follow the same steps in organization, in establishing order, okay, and chaos that the Neter, that Nebuchadnezzar used. We can, in following this tradition on a cosmic scale, if you will, establish order in our lives, establish in our own personal lives, and in our family, and in our community. So with the cosmologies, okay, and then getting deeper into it, okay, you know, understanding the anatomy of being, understanding the way that the universe is organized, reality is organized, understanding the way that you as an individual is organized as individuals, the various components that make us up, because our ancestors understood that we consist of you know, we are multifaceted beings. We are, you know, we consist of a multiplicity of forces, just like reality, just like nature, just like the universe. So, you know, understanding and breaking that down in the anatomy of being, going into ma'at. Okay, what is ma'at? What is law? What is order? Okay, what does ma'at operation in the universe, and then what does it look like in operation in our lives, our families? You know, and then understanding that, you know, in a universe that consists of a multiplicity of beings and forces, okay, there has to be some kind of regulation, some kind of order, some kind of harmony to ensure that these forces work in a way that is congruent with one another in a synergistic manner in order to perpetuate life. Okay, to keep life going in a way that's nourishing, in a way that's sustaining, in a way that's optimizing. We break down ma'at as that mechanism, that divine mechanism that is set in place, that our ancestors went on to derive an actual lifestyle and culture in following the laws of nature, patterning themselves after the laws of nature, patterning themselves in their society after nature, right? And the first place that we see that is in the family, which follows ma'at. Okay, and we, in talking about family, we got to talk about the ancestors, Osir Kintimintu, which follows the family. And then once we get here, then we can go into the Neteru and all that. So if you notice, the book is organized in a way that brings you all, you're going to get an understanding of this thing from the top down. From the top down, and then or from the inside out, if you will, go into the actual practice of the tradition, the rituals, setting up your shrines and things of that nature. Because once you understand, once you understand, it's time to get busy. Time to apply what you know.
All right. I'm glad you was able to share the jewels. You see, that's the benefit of having the author on site. You see what I'm saying? You can get that. You don't have to infer, because that's one of the studies I do ever since, start seeing, certain lists to see if things is organized in a particular manner. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of them investigation tools. I wanted to,
yes, sir,
just take a few seconds to look at the introduction. In the introduction, after the word introduction, the first word there is dismember. So to be able to proceed in a particular type of manner, the first step, as we heard during the course of that interview, the first step in the healing process is to admit that you have a problem. So in order for us to remember Osir, we have to, come to the realization that we are disconnected, that we are dismembered. So when you start looking at, dismember, and then, it gives a functional definition here: to cut or tear a body into pieces, to separate something into smaller parts, to cut or disjoin the limbs, members, or parts of. Given from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. So just looking at that, you see the arduous task that was done in order to tear us away or to cut us off into little pieces. So full optimal version of ourselves, we see ourselves in a manner of dismember, and this is not. So this means we're no longer in a space where which we have full access to ourselves. So now we're looking at smaller versions or fractionalized pieces of ourselves. And then it says, we get the mission statement right here. We see the reason for the season, so to speak, in regards to the book. It says, when contemplating the condition of African people worldwide, continental and diasporian. So if we looking at from the root of the tree to the fruits of the tree or the leaves. You see what I'm saying? So wherever you find us, we find us in a condition. You see what I'm saying? So a condition of African people worldwide. I can think of no more accurate term to describe our circumstances and plight than the above term and its definition. So this is an analysis. This is an analysis, from our brother Aankhu Benu on our condition. We're dismembered, and no matter where you find us, so whether we on the continent or around the planet. And then it says, due to the history of oppression, slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism, and cultural imperialism, African people worldwide have been dismembered, and in many instances, the most literal and gruesome sense of the word. So as graphic as this, or as vivid as this depiction is, using the art of words in regards to dismember, we see that it could even get worse. And it says, African people, due to the above realities of history and present, have been and are torn from roots, heritage, cultural and spiritual traditions, land and language, especially diasporic Africans, worldview, and African identity. I just think that was very, very critical. Like it's a snapshot, but it's a holistic snapshot of where we are. Especially us here as products of the diaspora. So the mission statement is out there for us to get an opportunity. This is a preparation of the imagination for us going through and into the text as an introduction. I just wanted to say that normally I don't read the introductions to the books. You see what I'm saying? Normally I don't read the introductions to the books. I want to get right, to the meat. But this is a critical preparation of the imagination of what you're going to get into. So I definitely concur with all of the statements. It was just a couple of more things I wanted to to highlight in the introduction. On page 8, it says initiation is a family and community tradition. But right before that, it speaks to this book should not be viewed as a guide to self-initiation, as there is no such thing. So I think that was critical, as a note to the reader thinking that, okay, after I read this book, I'm going to be a Kemetic priest or priestess. You understand what I'm saying? Like I could just read this book and that's all I need to do. I don't need to do nothing else. So I think that was very critical. And, Uncle Benu, I asked you about this a couple of times about some people in regards to this self-initiation process. You see what I'm saying? So, that note to the reader, again, and then it shows, how important initiation is in this next sentence that I just spoke of. Initiation is a family and community tradition. This tradition, as an African tradition, is a family and community tradition. So it is encouraged to be studied and practiced as a family and community. And if after reading this, you find you have a greater interest and would like to know more or go deeper into the tradition, potentially get initiated, it's encouraged that you reach out to the author and the Henensu community. Lastly, this is what Taji RBG is talking about. Lastly, this book is for African people only. Non-Africans be warned. So that there's a distinction there, and this distinction is not just color. It's your mentality. You might come into this situation, with the wrong mind, and something might happen to you as a result. You understand what I'm saying? So it's letting people know. As we spoke about, African identity is a graduation. So you got to graduate first. So I really like this overview in regards to this intro, particularly since I don't read a lot of introductions, going into the book. So, for the family that's here, is this book or the traditions or the things that you're learning within the covers of this book, is this something that you have found a way to implement into your family structure? And if so, could you share a little bit of that with the family in regards to how you have used, some of these readings and the traditions to implement them into your family? So for the people who may view these archives and they want to know how to begin that process of implementation, if we can share some thoughts.
To you, I'd like to make a small contribution to what the good brother was actually talking about, and it has to do with what is articulated in the text with respect to family. If you look at the text, it talks about what stood out in my mind. First and foremost was that Osir was put back together by his wives and sons. That stood out for me. And it stood out for a number of reasons, because when you look at our condition worldwide, but particularly as the brother was talking about here in the diaspora, our ancestors, the fundamental attack on them was the family.
That's right.
And the fundamental attack on us now is the family. So if we ever to reclaim our heritage, our birthright, it has to be through the healing and the reuniting of the family, which means that it's going to have to be a group effort. And secondly, being exposed to various schools of thought, various ATRs, what I didn't learn, or what was not obvious to me, that became obvious when I actually became a exposed to Henensu was my knowledge, my skill set, even my anger in terms of what I was able to observe in terms of this warfare on our people. The tradition and compassion. And with the compassion, I was able to utilize that as a necessary tool, as an implement to actually facilitate some change. You know, once I got a good understanding of to be compassionate with our people, irregardless of, you know, what condition they were in, I was able to actually, if you will, make headway in some of my experiences. And that stood out because prior to that, I had been using information, I had been using historical information to try to get the attention of some of our family members, whether they were related to me by blood or, you know, our extended family members. And what I found out was using those methods, I wasn't as successful as I would have liked to have been. But when I began to employ compassion, coupled with what I learned through remembering Osir, it was readily available to me that what he's laid down, what he's given, what he's sacrificed in this book is very effective. You get results right away. It's not something you have to wait on to see. You know, it's like it's almost instant for me personally. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is because what I noticed is that this is over a 20-year period. For those who really don't know about my history, you know, I have some background in the Nation of Islam. As a fruit of Islam, I've been into various ATRs, Yoruba, La Regla Lukumi, right, from Cuba. And so, you know, I was looking for the necessary rudiments. I was looking for tools to actually be effective. And yet, with all those schools of thoughts, in spite of what they teach, it was not as effective as the things I'm learning from this text of remembering Osir and the family at Henensu. So I just want to kind of put that out there.
Want to tell?
All right, anybody else from the family? Taji, Corey, Amina, anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is Corey. It's something, you know, brief on just ways that I've been implementing what I've gained from remembering Osir with my family, but I've been taking an initiative to really, like, I mean, a little background on me. I really don't know my family that well. You know, it's kind of a recent relationship with almost everybody, but like my mom's and grandma and my shit. Yeah, that's really it. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I've been, you know, initiating more contact with my family, and really trying to, I guess, make sure that I have some information about them so I can pass on to my son and eventually, you know, so forth, you know, but just taking family more serious in general.
Hit to pull about hit to pull. Um, as far as good word, brother Corey. But as far as me and you know how I've been implementing aspects of the text in regards to family. Um, first, I'd like to speak on the Osir Kintiamintiu or the ancestral shrine. Um, you know, not only am I, you know, if you know, for those of the family who you know follow me on Facebook, you see I'm pretty tight with my family. So you know, that's a given. But as far as the Osir Kinti I meant to you, you know, we also have to take care of the family, you know, on the other side as well. Um, you know, because that in itself is going to affect the intricacies of the family that you have on this side right here. So that's one thing I wanted to acknowledge in regards to family, not simply the ones that we have here with us that we can see and touch on an everyday regular basis, but as well as those ancestors and family members, both known and unknown, that paved the way for us to get here. Because, you know, as they say, we are the sum total of the sacrifices of the ancestors that came before us. So that's first and foremost. um and, you know, secondly, as far as my you know, my everyday, you know, family that I have here, as I said, you know, we're tight, we're close. Like me, my brother, and my father, you know, we were out today about 5 hours at the gun range, just, you know, sending lead down range. um you know, one of the things that I picked up from the book, though, um, um, or that I got a deeper understanding of with the relationship between Osir and Heru. Um, essentially, they are they're the same beings. They're the same beings, just expressed slightly different in different circumstances. And, you know, I look at my father. You know, my father's a role model to me and everything. So, and I see him as the Osir, and, you know, I'm striving, you know, to be a Heru, and, you know, to take that foundation, which, you know, the Osir, you know, my father has laid, you know, taking that foundation and building upon it, and, you know, strengthening my art, you know, and doing my art with, you know, those lessons that he gave me. As I said, you know, I look at him as a real role model. So, you know, and I relate that to the story of, or the relationship between Heru and Osir. And, you know, with that always being in the back of my mind, you know, that in itself, you know, it's almost like a charge for me to keep that relationship strong and, you know, healthy and whatnot. So that's that.
Sister Mina.
See you. Hotepo. Yeah, just like you said, applying it, just after you read the book, you just wanna kind of imply. I mean, it's like, how could you not want to apply it, you know, especially after, you know, the realization of standing condition our people was in. You want it, make it, it just naturally makes you want to, you know, reach out and pull together, um, you know, start uniting.
Okay. From the pillars.
Okay. I got the girls wrangling, so um I think one of the I'm trying to think about where to start. Um is I think you know, one of the points that you had brought out earlier, um I'm gonna try to answer the question that you posed initially, that I had to, you know, pass the baton on, and you know, the question that you just put forth, as far as how are some ways that we're implementing these teachings into our family life. One of the things that um, you brought out earlier, as far as, like, you know, me and Warwick being able to have a front seat to the construction of this text. It's I consider myself just really privileged to be able to have that seat, and it's kind of wholly unfair because I got to see two facets of this. Watching Aankhu Benu, really in his element, crafting the book, and one of the reasons why we were, constantly pushing him to finish it, or one of the reasons for me personally was just seeing trying to see where he would take me as a reader, because I come from a household of avid readers and students, and I myself actually got introduced to Kemet from Osir set, before that, Queen of Fua, and one of the things that I found refreshing about this particular text is that he was really restoring the integrity to something that for a large part of history had been written off as dead, as far as the tradition. And this is a very, very practical book, and something that just from the forward, looking at the introduction with some words from the Neteru. That's a part that I'm sure a lot of readers probably glossed over, but for those who are in the know, and for those who do practice different ATRs, that's letting you know, like, this is not something that's for play, because it's to even have these words, he had to go through certain rituals to invoke these forces. And I love the fact that this book is like a continuation of his calling and my calling, and I'm sure Warit's as well, like just helping to restore the legacy of African people worldwide. Like, this, what you have in your hands is something that we've lived and we've practiced it, and it's a viable tool to be able to pass on to our children, and to pass on to the community. This is really an offering, what you're looking at. And it's just I don't know what else to say to add on to that, other than this is a manual. Like, this is something that we are actively using this to provide medicine for our family, for our people.
Say more of it.
Peace, peace. I actually missed the question, the latest question. Could you repeat it for me?
We were speaking about, implementing this into our families. If you could share, some of the ways in which you have implemented these readings and, the traditions into your family.
Okay. For me, I think I feel um, that African people all over, especially those in the diaspora and those of us here in America that has been through so much trauma and drama, and I feel like we weren't taught how to cope with different stress and different things that set us back, because the one thing that's constant in life is change, and we wasn't taught how to cope with the different changes, and we still dealing with past dramas and traumas. So I feel like with African spiritual traditions and the Kemetic tradition, it give us a handle on our life, and it shows us the way to dealing with the different forces and the changes. And if we're doing my art, if we're in the flow, if we dance with Heteru, that we're able to combat the different stress and the different tests that come our way. So yeah, that's what I really dig with the book and the manual, remembering Osir, and the tradition in general, just the spiritual tradition, learning the basis, and really implementing that in our life and in our lives, and working through our problems together, man, and keep going, pushing forward.
I wanted to say that the first thing that your brother Uncle Rapatop brought out was compassion. And we have these approach to parenting. We have this approach of role versus rule in the house and all of these things. You see what I'm saying? So as you could guess, in my home, I'm the disciplinarian. So if you come up, like y'all heard, most of my story yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like the inclination to correct the deficiency in the house is the first thing, is to use your hands, to correct that discrepancy or something that is out of order. You understand what I'm saying? Because things have to be in order in the household in order for the household to be running in a state of functionality. So when things are out of order, approaching the situation with that first instinctual type of thing is to fix it with your hands. You see what I'm saying? So the developing and understanding what that compassionate, having that compassion to look at a situation and leave it to the situation and not to the person. You see what I'm saying? Like we can be verbally abusive to our children, to our family, not understanding the power of the tongue. But if you acknowledge the power of the tongue, not only do you know that your statements have power, but they are powerful, and they last longer than the things that you do physically. You see what I'm saying? Even though they all come with their own scar. And we could be in a position where we dismember the dismembered. You understand what I'm saying? So compassion, for me was key to be able to redirect the trajectory of how I use words and things, to speak to the deficiency and not necessarily to my sons. You see what I'm saying? Because they watch more, they absorb more of what you do versus what you say, unless they are congruent. So my introduction to Henensu, and the attractor for me for Henensu is that it's an African centered family. It revolves around that terminology and that approach, and putting the pieces back together or reassembling that family. You definitely need some compassion. You definitely need some care, some patience, and crafting your approach. on how to go about, putting the pieces back together. You see what I'm saying? Because this is a body that is dismembered. You see what I'm saying? And it's cut off. So, you might be dealing with some limbs or some extremities that are not getting that flow. That flow is that lifeblood. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be able to, do an assessment and see, what's the best approach. So these are some of the things that I'm learning, and the simplicity of it is to, just to allow them the opportunity to see it, for themselves and be there as confirmation in a lot of the cases. My children seen my shrine and they say, "Who's that?" I said, "Oh, that's your grandmother. You know her." I said, "So if that's your grandmother and she's not with us physically, what would she be?" "Oh, our ancestor. That's my ancestor. I want to give something as a gift." You see what I'm saying? So like they're going through those processes, and the fact that that comfortability is there. You see what I'm saying? That they can be able to share in those particular ideas and have that inclination to say, okay, this is what we're doing. So it's definitely a testament to where, the progression going forward, and putting the pieces back together, to form one African body. So I definitely, I'm thankful to have more tools to be able to look at a situation versus, that one-dimensional approach that I had based on, how I grew up. So I'm thankful for that, to be able to share with that. You had something to add on, GG?
I say, all I can say is Dwight and Tab to everyone for sharing your experiences as far as how you've implemented the teachings, the tradition into your family life. And for those that have been following me for a minute, or if you never heard anything from me, what I always say is if we have a religion, okay, family is that religion. Like Henensu is not a religion. Henensu is not a temple. Okay, Henensu is a family. So we are an African family that has, how you say, aspirations in establishing nation. Becoming an African nation. We are an African family, and what it is that this is in our coming together and as a family, as a community, and practicing this culture. What we are witnessing is an ethnogenesis. This is an ethnogenesis that's taking place. So, in understanding that, you hear me say, family is the only religion in the world for us.
That's right.
So, this tradition is to be practiced as a family. You popped on the point of this not being a self-initiation thing. Like you can't, I say this book is not meant to be, you're going to absorb, the reader's going to absorb all of this information and practice it in isolation and walk around with a big head and swollen ego, calling himself Hamneter Tupi, Nisubiti, Hamat Neter, Kwadi Heb, etc. so on. This is not for that. This is for you to gain an understanding of the tradition, to begin to implement it in your life, but to also reach out, to connect, to teach it to your family. As a matter of fact, even if, okay, I'm not interested in becoming an initiator, this, that, and third, still reach out to your family. Teach it to your children. Okay, like we one of the things that, you know, I was, you know, I feel blessed to have, you know, to have done and to be doing now, because, you know, we I say, you know, we have two daughters. You know, one is, you know, our oldest is 6, and one is set just turned you know, 2 you know, a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, like, to be able to actually raise them in the tradition, raise them learning their language, okay, learning the Maduniter from shorties, right, to you know, to have them early on, you know, servicing the shrines, refreshing the water, okay, you know, prostrating before the ancestors, giving the ancestors water, giving the ancestors food, okay, you know, to have them participate in the libations, and to you know, to be actually beginning, especially Kim, you know, the, you know, entering into initiation for herself as a young priestess, like to be able to bring her through that. It's having on my children, like, to see just from you know, our interaction, you know, myself, Marie, Warwick, and our practice of the tradition and the love that we have in us, okay, you know, the love that Marie and I have embedded in us for you know, for the ancestors, for Neter, okay, and expressing that in our family, you know, and seeing that love come through our children, okay. You know, this is something that you know, it's the greatest gift in the world. It's the greatest gift in the world. And, you know, the practice of the tradition, like, you know, for you to practice it in isolation, to be off to yourself, just, you know, just doing your thing, you're not going to get the same as if you're practicing it with your family. You're not going to get the same effects as if you're practicing it with your community, right? So, like, you know, this is why, you know, like, you know, I'm always, you know, I'm talking to the family, because Henensu is an international family. It's an international community. We got family members as far as Seychelles. You know, we got as far as South Africa. Okay, we got family members down in the British Virgin Islands. Okay, so, like, you know, this is something that, you know, I'm always encouraging. Yo, when we do something as a collective, you want to make the effort to be there, because you have to experience being practiced as a community. You know, you have to experience that collective ritual, you know, and understanding that our engaging of the forces of nature, our engaging of the ancestors, like, we're engaging them as family. You know, I went through the you know, at the beginning of the broadcast, and I said we have to pay homage to our great lineage, and that lineage included, it started with the source. It started with Neter, right? Then the Neteru, then the ancestors. And when we when we are participating in these rituals, you know, you notice Marie, she mentioned the words of the Neteru at the beginning of the book for the preface or the foreword. Okay, you know, I was like, you know, I said, who do I want to write this foreword? Which elder am I going to reach out to write this foreword? You know what I mean? I've put the book in the hands of Professor James Smalls. You know, the Infandishi purchased a copy of the book. My Infandishi, all right, has a copy of the book, right? So who do I reach out to? Okay? It's around if I'm in. Do I send a copy to my ass? Do I send a copy to you know, the Malifi Asante? Okay? No, I said the Neteru. Okay? Aankhu. When you first open the book, right? The picture that you see, the first image that you see inside of the book when you open the book is Aankhu. You see? It's Aankhu. Once you get past this forward, right? The words of Subek, Aankhu, and Tahuti. And then the first image you see is Aankhu, to open up the way. Kitty Seknater, right? That protector that sits at the front of the shrine. Okay? This is a family effort. This is a family affair. Like the Neteru, this is our family. You see? And in order for me to have the words from the Neteru, I had to, we had to perform a ritual in which my wife, Marie, brought down the Neteru. So we're talking about ritual possession, spirit possession. Okay? One second, family.
Does anybody want to add anything else in the meantime? Is something to come to anybody on anything that they read in the first couple of chapters that they didn't get the opportunity to speak about? Anyone? Anybody?
I'm trying
Go ahead,
I'm trying to recall, brother. You know, one thing that I picked up early on in the book, it's not directly, or at least I wouldn't say is directly related to family specifically, but when you get into the chapters or sections later on about cosmologies, the different cosmologies, such as the cosmology of Inu, the cosmology of Memphis, or the Memphite theology, so on and so forth. When you get into these cosmologies, you find that the Netru are either born of parents, other parent forces, such as let me think, let's see if I can get it right. First came Nu and Nunet, and then from that, I want to say, if I'm correct, Shu and Tefnut. I could be wrong, so Nisu might have to correct me. But nonetheless, you'll find a lot of times in these cosmologies that the various Neteru are born of parents, so on and so forth, and each Neteru, you know, um, seemingly builds off of a certain function of their parent or predecessor, or their respective siblings. So when you look at this, from a metaphorical sense, you know in relationship to family, you know it's basically teaching us the science of family, and what the science of African family is, and how each unit of the or each member of the family unit has a specific role to play in the maintaining of ma'at within the family unit. You know, and when, you know, these certain things are knocked out of balance, there's, you know, there's certain measures that are taken to, you know, restore that balance. So I think that's something also interesting, you know, because our cosmologies are very holistic, and when you look at our cosmologies, you know, you can you can, you know, decipher various meanings from them, from creationism, you know, to, you know, the actual science behind creation, and, you know, to making it more concrete. So, you know, in regards to family, like I say, when you get into the sections about cosmologies, when you look at it from, you know, an alternate angle, because, you know, the cosmologies are not speaking specifically of family, and not, you know, the stories are not, you know, the family does so on and so forth. But when you decipher it, you'll see, you know, father, mother, child, children, and they're all working their respective roles to maintain the balance. So, you know, when you get into this section of cosmology, you begin to understand, you know, the African worldview in regards to family and how it is to function, and, you know, how each member of the family unit, as I said, is supposed to play a specific role in the maintenance of, you know, that family order, because, you know, family in itself is the central institution, the most central institution of learning and building within, you know, the African cosmology.
To go.
And so, what you done, or did you have something else? I think you got cut off in midpoint.
Yeah. I say you know, I apologize for that, but you know, definitely, the point that I was getting at was, you know, in that foreword, those words from the ancestors. The only way that we got that was through a joint effort between myself and Marina Turk. And, you know, it's the way, you know, we've been, you know, doing this from the beginning. You know what I mean? You know, like the ancestors, you know, blessed me tremendously with a wife that's also a medium, right? And, you know, she discovered that she was a medium. We discovered her being a medium together when we came together. And practicing and performing ritual and whatnot, and then boom, oh snap, right? The ancestors coming through, the Neteru coming through, right? So, you know, it's through the family, you know, that was even possible. And then boom, you know, through my wife to Sebek, I'm able to speak to Aankhu. I'm able to speak to Tahuti, and for them to give their thoughts and their blessings on the work, because this is not simply the freaking workings of my mind. I appreciate my mind, but my mind is a gift from the divine. It's a conduit. You know, if anybody looks at remembering or said, you know, it's like, I can't take credit for that. You know, there's periods when I'm writing and then boom, I stop. Like it stops. It was flowing and then boom, it stops. And I'm done for months. You know, I haven't written in a minute. For real. I got a lot up here. You know, in terms of books, there's volumes that still, but I haven't written in a minute, because it's one of those things where I feel a catalyst. There's a push from the ancestors. There's the push from those Neteru that are in the foreword in particular. Okay, it is them that you know, that I serve as a conduit for in putting this work together. You know what I mean? So this is a family effort. I couldn't have done it without my wife. You know, I say my wife Warren edited the book. You know, the book, you know, if it was left to me to edit it, you know, y'all probably be talking about, yo, this sawed off book is looking all shabby, blah, 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 blah. You know, my wife, Warren, she edited the book, the design, right? You look at the cover of the book, right, which is put together in a very specific way. Okay, this cover was designed by Tahir RBG. You know, Tahir RBG designed this book. This cover. That's my brother. That's my family. You know, this was a family affair from the beginning to the end. You know what I mean? You know, this is how important understanding the importance of you know, practicing this and approaching this tradition as a collective, as a family, you know, because there's things that, just like with anything, you know, the brother Taji, you know, he articulated it perfectly in terms of, you know, Neter itself, the divine itself, the source itself, you know, it articulates itself. It defines and designs itself and expresses itself to a cosmic family. And the Neteru are portrayed as children, right? He has a wife. Right? The Neteru are children. They have a father, they have a mother, and they have children. Right? And some Neteru have grandparents. Okay? And the Neteru got ancestors. Right? The the Neteru Kimnu, or the eight primordial forces that speak to the eight qualities that describe the infinite, to be the ancestors of all of the Neteru. So even the Neteru, the forces of nature, got ancestors, right? This is family from the beginning to the end. You see? And each member of the family, okay, has a specific role and function in maintaining harmony in the family. In the family, making sure that the house isn't divided and in chaos and disarray, okay, and causing the two lands to become disunited. So it's important in understanding that in the same way that the divine operates, nature operates as a family, we too in our journey to practice this tradition and remembering Osir, remembering who we are, remembering our ancestors. Okay?
Okay. For the Abbat, we're looking at between chapter 3 and chapter 4. We're looking at Kemetic spirituality and also cosmologies that Kaji was speaking about. Has the readings increased your knowledge or your inclination to want to know more about your family, connection to your family, and delving into the realm of Kemetic spirituality? Has it increased your desire or zeal for wanting to learn more? We can speak to anybody who is willing to share.
This is Corey. I couldn't say that I would have to identify, the first couple of chapters to want me to, I guess, look further into my lineage or family. One thing that caught my attention was I can't remember the name of the individual, but there was a tune, and there was there's like a block and it had on the tomb or on the item, it was like object anyway. It was like 26 different generations of an individual's lineage, and I don't know. To me, that just like I said, it really earlier, it just really grasped me primarily because like 4 years ago I wouldn't have been able to pass down anything about my family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to gather that information, and in another uh, section, I believe. We need to show respect to all of our ancestors. There's very few ancestors that you wouldn't show respect to, as far as maybe boot that they would have committed. But other than that, like I need to embrace my fiance's family as well, because I have a seed with her. You know what I'm saying? Like I have an offspring, and I've chosen to bring her family into my family's life. You know what I'm saying? One way or another, and so that has also at least led me anyway to want to further relationships with them. I can't identify what chapter it was and then, but yeah.
Yo.
Okay, so just to kind of bring clarity to what Sin Corey was talking about, that's on page 550. This is called a Hes. These statues, which scholars refer to as block statues, our ancestors refer to as Hesiu, praised ones, those that are praised. These represent the ancestors that were members of the priesthood of the temples. And there's several different ones, and several of these, I should say, and they were found in between the columns of the temple. They served as guardians, protectors, and witnesses in the temple. And as as the priests would go into the temple, they go through their initiation. They were walking down the hall before their ancestors, before the priests. And this particular ancestor is called Basa. Okay, Basa. And he was a priest of Heteru. And on the statue, he has his lineage, okay, on his father's side, 26 generations of priest of Heteru. Okay, 26 generations, his family being a member of the Heteru priesthood, right? So this is what the good brother Corey was talking about. Just talking, just speaking and giving more to just how important family and lineage and whatnot is in this tradition.
Wow.
Okay. Anybody else wanted to speak on that in regards to the inclination of family and Kemetic spirituality, cosmology? Anybody else wanted to speak? I think Uncle Rapatar, you were speaking, but your microphone was muted.
Hetapu, this is Rahema. I want to say something about the book, about so far what I understood. I understand that we have to venerate our ancestors. We have to uplift them. But there's still a lot that I don't understand. So I'm having to go back and reread the book because the cosmologies part, it was still unclear to me. I thought I was understanding it, but I still got a little lost. So I'm reading the book over again so I can get more understanding of it. Part of it is me not being consistent in reading it, and I had to admit from my part that it's my fault. So I can't really give too much information about the book because, like I said, I'm still new to African spirituality and the traditions of, our people. But the book is interesting, and that's why I want to read it again, so I can get a full, clear understanding. Because there's so much information to learn, so much information to retain. So that's my intake on the book. And as far as learning my African spirituality, I'm still a baby, but with me reading and listening to your input, I think I'll get a better understanding.
Had to pull about as I think anyone who is coming in to knowledge of the tradition would very quickly find themselves yearning to connect with their ancestors. Um, you know, it's something we as Africans should do instinctively, but as said, in the earlier parts of the book, we have been dismembered and disconnected from that. Um, but me myself, I wouldn't say that that my inclination grew any more than it had already been, because the very first time I spoke with the Nisu, I let it be known that I had already had an ancestral altar. I let, and to anybody who knew me prior to, I was already slightly involved in the in African spiritualities. So coming into that, what 3-4 years ago now, 3-4 years ago, I instantly began that trick to reach back and learn some of my lineage. um I can go back relatively far on my mother's side. I can't go any further than my grandmother and my grandfather on my father's side. um um but me, being me, I definitely took the charge to go ahead and start implementing that research. And I can go all the way back to my great real great grandfather, Baba James McLeod, who was a descendant of the Mande Nation, Mandinka tribe of West Africa. So that right there is something that I'm really proud of. But what I will say is that from being a member of the Henensu family, I will say that my altar did end up taking a new form. I had to change some things around, clean it up, and open the mouth once more and whatnot. But so as far as me, like I said, I wouldn't say that my inclination grew any more than it already has, because I'm obsessed with my ancestors. Obsessed. But I will say that I think dealing with the Abat My Shrine game did go up a few levels.
Go on and tell.
Go on and tell.
I got an opportunity to. Go ahead.
Nah, go ahead, Gigi.
I don't want you to lose your thought. I got my place in the book.
Okay. Well, yeah. I wanted to kind of say dua to Sintaji for enter Rehema for sharing your thoughts on the book, and Sintaji for speaking, sharing that that fact about his lineage, and think you said Baba McLeod, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And okay, and him being a descendant of the descending from the Mande you know, people, and you know, that point is important because you often hear, and I want to say Marie in one of her earlier, comments, she talked about how the Kemetic tradition, the Kemetic tradition had, like people would consider it dead, which is crazy, but you often hear others, others in other ATRs, speak to, they try to speak on Kemet as though, we don't have, like, in the ignorance, they say we don't have a connection to that. That's not us. We come from West Africa. Okay, these are people that are not learned in the history. They're not learned in the migration, okay, of the Africans from the Nile Valley through the Sudan, okay, from Kemet into the Sudan, across the Sahara, right? And then they don't understand how the people that founded, the great West African empires, the Ghana Empire, for example, okay, not modern day Ghana, right, but up there around Mali and Mauritania, the Ghana Empire, who was founded by the Soninke, okay, the Soninke people, right, which Soninke, okay, is actually said to mean Aswan, and they say they came from Aswan, okay, which is in Kemet proper, right, but considered Nubian. And these people, these Soninke people, founded the Ghana Empire, and it was from the Ghana Empire. And once the Ghana Empire dispersed, then you have the Mande people, okay, which are these same people. So in the brother sharing that, this is speaking to him. This is in his blood, this tradition. This is the classical African culture, classical African spiritual tradition. This is the primordial. This tradition is the primordial African spiritual tradition and culture. And I got something else to drop on that before we end the broadcast. So I'm gonna hold it for now.
I'm gonna hold it, huh?
Do I need to?
I'm gonna hold this for now.
Okay. I was looking at some of my family lineage, and I was about 11 years old the first time we got together for a family reunion. Like, this is the real deal family reunion. Like, I told you, my mother comes from 14 other brothers and sisters, so 15 in total. And that 15 was like a microcosm of a macrocosm when we went to this family reunion. And I was about 11 years old in the summertime. So this was August of 91. The 16th to 17th and 18th in Black August, we getting together, having this family reunion. And the cousin of mine who put all of this together, him and his wife, Willie J. Copeland. So if there's any Copelands or Flemings or McGinnis or whomever, we might be some kith and kin out there, along with Webb and Williams and all of that. You see what I'm saying? And they begin to speak about our family history. The grand matriarch in my family, Sarah J. Copeland, she, our connection and roots to the Gullah Geechee Nation down in South Carolina was based off of that family significance going back to around 1855. So just looking they were speaking about here in this, the small booklet they gave us. And my cousin, sent it to me. Another credit to, Henensu and Chief Priest Aankhu Benu was saying, hey, you need to get your stuff together for your ancestral shrine. You see what I'm saying? And I'm thinking I got to go on the computer and ancestry.com and all this foolishness. All I had to do was call my cousin. My cousin was like, yo, I still got that joint. And he sent it to my email. So now, another, teachable moment about having that connection with your family. Don't be dismembered, from your family, because your family got the roots. You see what I'm saying? So I called my cousin and he was like, yo, I scanned that joint into a PDF. I'm going to send it to you. So he sent it to me. And, just looking at that family, my family, it just says, the Copelands and the Flemings family descendants are 8 generations. Cynthia Fleming and Isaiah Fleming had 10 children, 40 grandchildren, and a host of 3 generations of great-grandchildren, which has over 300 grandchildren. Great-grandchildren. Then they talking about 5 great-great-great-grandchildren generations, and they named them. And then they said a host of 3 generations of great-grandchildren, which is over 250 in number. Then they start talking about, the descendants number in total. This is 91 now. You know what I'm saying? 450 more. You see what I'm saying? So they was talking about being fruitful and multiplying. We good in that department. You understand what I'm saying? So you looking at this. I used to call my grandfather all the time. My grandfather was a man of few words. You see what I'm saying? And he said, ain't nothing like a good production line. That's what he made reference to, our family. You see what I'm saying? There's 7 of us. I told to tell for those who got an opportunity to hear it that he met my grandmother, when she had 10 children, and they had 5 more children, and my mother was a result of those 5 children. That's that came into being, and then 7 of us, and this is. Again, 1991, when they was naming all of those numbers, you see what I'm saying, in regards to that family lineage. You see what I'm saying? So, the mix of the family, and if we look at the generations today, even psychologically, a cap has been put on the number of children that we want to have. You see what I'm saying? Because of how the societal ills view these types of situations. And now we look at our descendants, our future generations, our ancestors returning as bills. So if we look at our children as not gifts but things, you see what I'm saying? It's easy for us to get caught up in that type of situation to where we I don't want no large family and blah blah blah. If they did not have these families back then, we wouldn't be here today. You see what I'm saying? So they would have adopted those mentalities in the most horrific type of conditions in spaces and places. You see what I'm saying? So the fact of remembering Osir, putting these pieces back together, putting that family back together, restoring and reforming and reshaping that body, that ancestral body, is definitely an ode to your ancestors. You see what I'm saying? But also to your future. We got that one existence. We got past, present, and future, and it all exists simultaneously. You see what I'm saying? And the further we get into this examination of the text that's laid out, and the further we get into our ancestral traditions, we do see that there is no gap. There is no separation. There's no such thing as a past or a present or a future. We're preparing and opening the way, through the things that we're doing, through the things that we're learning, and all of the, interfaces that we have set up in regards to this one existence. You see what I'm saying? So we can teach this to our children so that we know that when we disappear from their material view, we are never without them. You see what I'm saying? One of the most painful things to deal with in this physical realm is to be, separated. My mother transitioned February 5th, 2009. You see what I'm saying? And I was, a shell of myself until I discovered how to reconnect with her. You see what I'm saying? And it's all, again, in the family. You see what I'm saying? So in the family. So just like I could call my cousin, I could call my uncles. You understand? I could call my aunts. You see? And then now we're dealing with in the realm of, you know, the extended African family. You know, I could call Aankhu Benu, I could call Marie. You understand what I'm saying? I can call the family and get reconnected and get re-inspired and get reinvigorated. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, just like Uncle Rapata was saying about the family, you know, having that significance, you know, in regards to who we are. You see what I'm saying? What are we without it? You see what I'm saying? Who are we without it? We witness, you know, day in, day out, what it means to not have a family. You see what I'm saying? What it means to not have a connection, have an identity, to be dismembered, to be disconnected, to be cut off. You see what I'm saying? Even within the confines of our own family, we have family members that we no longer speak to. And then, you know, that's the curse that goes along in your head when they transition. Like, yo, you know, what we were arguing about or what we weren't speaking about wasn't worth this. You see what I'm saying? So, like, you know, making those efforts to mend those fences and come back in the realm, you know, to be able to repair those relationships. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, so that is something that was very, you know, very, very key for me. You see what I'm saying? Thinking I got to go on a computer to ancestry and African ancestry and all this old crazy stuff. I just called my cousin. You know, it took me 2 seconds and then boom, reconnected. You see what I'm saying? But if I didn't have that inclination to say, hey, you know, dealing with our brother Aankhu Benu, and we're a tight-knit, close-knit family. You know, my brothers and sisters and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? But if it wasn't erecting that ancestral shrine, wouldn't have had that inclination. You see what I'm saying? Then, you know, remembering. So I had the opportunity to remember and, you know, call my cousin and be like, boom, that's what it is. You see what I'm saying? And he's, you know, charged with doing the family reunions every year or every couple of years. You know, he's always the centerpiece. So, you know, and he's in contact with everybody. You know, so that's a good point of reference in regards to, you know, the family. So I just wanted to, you know, share some of those things into, you know, the conversation in regards to, you know, family. You know what I mean? So.
110.
Yeah, Simborn. We might have to you know, build off the record because I heard you say the name Fleming, and I got some cousins in Carolina, same name and whatnot. So I'm gonna have to holler at Granny and, you know, see how that plays in. See if we can do the knowledge on that too.
And I told you it's a couple hundred of them folk. You know what I'm saying? A couple hundred. I named off about 1,000 folk. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, know what I mean? So yeah.
My grandfather's father. I know if y'all seen that movie Life with Eddie Murphy in there.
Yeah, that's my favorite movie.
My great grandfather, George Knowles. He was in Marion, South Carolina. He was in prison for life down there. He lived to be about 105. They let him out at 100 years old. So imagine a young man who was in prison and he never got to see his son. He never got to see his son ever since he was a child. You understand what I'm saying? He was locked up young and he was in prison for life down there in Marion, South Carolina. And they let him out at 100 years old. And he lived for 5 more years. He got a chance to talk to his son, but he never got a chance to see his son again. Maybe that he saw was now somebody's grandfather. You understand what I'm saying? In some cases, somebody's great-grandfather. So, you know, the father and the son, that connection was dismembered. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, that was a part of the movie. That was brought out, but you never get a chance to, you know, really see something like that. You see what I'm saying? And it didn't take nothing for you to be locked up. You understand what I'm saying? Like we talking about really back in the day, like we thinking like it ain't nothing to get locked up now. And that's still the state of the place of South Carolina and North Carolina to this day. You see what I'm saying? It didn't mean nothing. You know, a black life didn't mean nothing. You know, I think like prison was like the other way, you see what I'm saying, versus what the alternative would have been, especially around those parts. So, you know, that's, you know, something that's critical in my heritage in regards to, you know, having that family, because, you know, you could have been in a situation to where, you know, it was just like that, just that easy. You get snatched up off of the streets, you know, and to live your whole entire adult life in prison and your elder age. You see what I'm saying? So that willingness to make sure that the family was good was something that my grandfather also took to his transition, to the end. In regards to making sure that the family was together and requiring that the family would come out, and each one of my ancestors, aunts, uncles, was participatory in that, and now it's down to the cousin level. So now we the older people that used to come whoop on us. You understand what I'm saying? for the next generation. You see, so my nieces and nephews and things like that. Somebody called me uncle or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's like I call my uncles. You see what I'm saying? So that's that succession in regards to generation. So yeah, we might be some kin, JJ. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Or so did anybody else have anything that they wanted to add on that?
See, you saying Taji took the words out of my mouth. I said I know some Flemings up north too.
Uh-oh.
Up north, Cleveland.
Hold on real quick. Amina, where you from now?
TU, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, we are related.
How they say? It's a family reunion.
Do I tear? Do I?
And I say, folk listening in, right? Folk tuning in, and folk that's gonna watch this. You might be listening to this and be like, yo, what the hell does all of this got to do with Kemetic spirituality, right? It has everything to do with it. And if I say the fact that is proof that what you have been presented, what we have been presented as Kemetic spirituality about, we've been, it's been greatly and largely misrepresented. I can take the that particular stand staunchly without feeling any kind of way. It doesn't, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody out there that's representing Kemet or whatever the case may be. But if our people do not understand that Kemetic spirituality as an ATR, just like any other ATR, is ancestral, familial, okay? This is ancestry and family oriented. This is about family. If you don't understand that, first and foremost, you got all these folk talking about the Neteru, and the Neteru are part of our lineage. Yes. Forces. These are the forces that we consist of and are a culmination of. Yes. Right? Just like our ancestors. Yeah. But, the mass populace, right? The mass population, the masses of people in ancient Kemet, they did not deal with the Neteru directly. So it is a misunderstanding. Teachers are this illusion that Kemet was a nation full of and everybody was levitating and moving the blocks with their minds to build the temples and the pyramids and all that. Okay? Everybody, yeah, it was a nation of priests and priestesses. However, many of the people were what you call Hamka, Hamatka, okay, which is the servant of the Ka of your ancestors. The majority of the people were responsible for keeping the Kari, the ancestral shrine, the shrine of their father and their mother when they became ancestors. You see, first and foremost, before we start talking about initiations and going deep into the temple and all, dealing with the Neteru and whatnot, you have a responsibility to your bloodline, to your lineage. Okay, so if you don't understand that, if that's not what you've been taught, come into Henensu, the very first 2 shrines that you erect is Aankhu, because he's the Wapu Wat. He's the opener of the way. He's the great gatekeeper of the Duat, of the spirit realm. You know, the first 2 shrines that you erect are Aankhu and Osir Kintiamintiu, which is the ancestral shrine. Okay, Osir represents first and foremost the ancestors. And you know, we're taught in the Pertin Hira, sacred texts of our ancestors from the Nile Valley, that you ancestors at the shrine of Osir Kintiamintiu. You understand? So this is something that these are the first 2 shrines that we erect. You start with your ancestors. And your ancestors, first and foremost. Before dealing with any other Neteru. You may, I say, some people may never deal with any other, they may never get initiated into the shrine of one of the Neteru. Some people deal solely with the ancestors. And that's okay. This time, you know what I mean? So, but if you haven't gotten the sense that this is about family, this is about ancestry, this is about legacy, okay? What is it about? You know, when you read the, you know, everybody talks about Heru versus Sutesh or Heru versus Set, right? Everybody talks about that. The image is a very, you know, so in most people's mind, is a very European, very, you know, Western type of perspective or illusion that's created. You know, what Tahir likes to, you know, I hear Tahir RBG, he refers to it as the Django, you know, the Django, you know, complex. Okay? In the movie Django Unchained, you know, you had this one man army, you know, going up against all these crackers and whatnot. In the Osirian tradition, when you actually get into the tradition, okay, it is a family effort. Okay, it is a family effort. So Heru fights with his entire family, and Sutesh got a squad too. Okay, Sutesh got a squad, and Heru got his squad. He got his family with him. Go to the temple of Heru Behudet in Edfu. Okay, you see the battle between Heru Behudet and Sutesh. Okay, and Heru, the son of Osir and Aset, as well as Aset, and the other Neteru joined in battle along with them to fight Sutesh and his followers. So, you know, this is what it's about. You know, you understand? You know, it is only through the collective, only together are we going to elevate and liberate ourselves as a collective. The only way.
All right. So did we want to press on, or is that enough for this week? You know, we still got some more weeks to go. It's just up to the family what y'all want to do. You know, do people still want to keep going on, or we want to go into final thoughts? That's you know, up to y'all.
I don't want to wear everybody out. I say, you know, I know Henensu very well. They soldiers now. I say, you know, I say if we in it, they in it. You know what I'm saying? They in it till it's over. You know, I definitely don't want to wear the about out. So, you know, I say let's do the final thoughts. And, you know, before we leave, I wanna unload what I was holding. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm holding, I want to unload it before we get out of here.
Okay, we could go through final thoughts. We could start with Saint Xavier. Your final thoughts? Anything you wanted to share about tonight's experience? All right, Shinkori.
To you. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot on the final thoughts. Just, it's been great just hearing everybody's these mindsets on remembering Osir. Trying to figure out where everybody at and what they. I haven't had anybody to talk about it with. You know what I'm saying? So it's been great. I'm glad to be a part of this. Dua.
I said you on mute. You're top. We can't hear nothing you're saying from the jump.
Unmute.
Yeah, I say. Yeah, you still on mute.
No, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I want to say Hetepu to the Abad. Wow, yeah, it's so much to be said about this text. It's just that it's monumental, it's epic. That Uncle Benu, you were used as the vessel from the ancestors to pull it off. As I said earlier, I'm an avid reader. I've read a lot of books, a few thousand, I know at least, and this text is mental in our reawakening, if you will. There's a lot of information in here. It needs to be read slowly, and to the sister who was saying that she hadn't, I forget her name, pardon me, that she hadn't read the text and she was kind of new to the tradition. I just want to extend to her to take the initiative to actually read the text. For me personally, I've read it at least going on 3 times now. And at this point, I kind of go in and read, not any particular chronological order, but now I kind of just skip all around. And I'm noticing that every time I read the information, it takes me deeper into this cosmology that our ancestors knew about. Our ancestors were heavy, man. They're heavy. And we know that it's a misnomer for all of the naysayers who say the Kemet is a dead tradition, is a dead language, because for one, we're here. We have survived a horrendous onslaught, which is still ongoing because of our people. But this text is just epic. It's epic. And the more that we commit ourselves to the text and to the culture, to the tradition, I know that we're going to be successful in overcoming what's been superimposed on our consciousness and on our spirits. And additionally, I want to say thank you to the Abad, but specifically the wives of Uncle Benu, because I know they had to have made a significant sacrifice in order, for him to actually deliver this to the community. Dua.
Dua.
Volunteer.
Okay, Sister Mina. Believe she's still on with us.
Amina, you got any final thoughts? I see. I don't know if you're saying something. Your phone on mute if y'all.
Taji. I know he got something to say.
I always got something to say. But uh, definitely been a great build with the family. As you know, Sinu Uncle Rapata has stated, it's definitely a monumental work. Definitely a monumental work. So, and it seems, tonight that the theme of the build was, the relationship of the text to the practical application of family and whatnot. So, to those who have tuned in or are tuning in and will tune in, um, you know, I definitely book once again. Um, Especially if you are seeking to not only connect with your ancestors but also to connect with your immediate family as well from a more divine and holistic and African centered perspective. And with that being said, I'll leave it at that. It's a pool.
Etipo.
Okay. Jeanette Rehema.
I'm here. Um,
To
my
you.
final thoughts. I guess I need to be more consistent with the reading. Um, so that's what I'm going to start doing more going forward. So, but I enjoyed this class, this meeting. It really opened my eyes to what I need to do for my family as well. So, dua to Nater and to all of you all for, I guess, listening to me. I don't often come to a lot of the meetings due to family matters, children. But going forward, I will be in attendance more to communicate with you about.
Dwa Nater. Dwa Nater.
All right, we have the pillars now. You know what I'm saying? We have the pillars.
Okay. Let's see. Marie, you want to go first? Final thoughts?
See, sorry, sorry about that. I had gotten stuck trying to comb through my family um, family tree, trying to see if I could find some of the names that you had thrown out there. 'Cause I
We
know
related.
they, yeah,
We
I know it,
related.
I know
Yeah,
it.
you ain't got.
Just looking for the
Yeah,
concrete,
we.
looking for the concrete.
Yeah.
But final thoughts. I have thoroughly enjoyed the build. Um, it's good just to uh, be able to get feedback and hearing the impact that this book has made not only on um, my life, on our lives, but to the extended family. Um, one of the things that I want for the audience to take away that has yet to get into this book is it definitely gives you the tools to uh, you know restore your relationship not only with your extended family, your external family, but your internal family, and um, helping you to kind of look within yourself and look at the parts of yourself and give you a lens to understand some of the things that um, you go through personally and that we've gone through collectively, um, cosmologically. So that's definitely a win. Um, yeah, it's deep just thinking about family and family being the oldest religion, the only religion, as far as our practice is concerned. Um, and this is a book that's definitely going to keep on giving. The more you digest uh, different parts of it. Um, I think by far though that just this theme is probably one of my favorites, like dealing with family, because for me personally, that's something that uh, motivates me. It's something that um, gives my life purpose. Like that's something that from a youth, like I recognize uh, that I wanted to um, kind of help restore my family and the way that we look at marriage in particular, because I come from a family of broken marriage, and I've gotten to talk about it in different platforms, but uh, it's no less important in this build, um, because when you look at this work, remembering Osir, what Aankhu Benu was doing is giving archetypes for. That's something that we didn't really get to get into tonight, but hopefully, in the following weeks, we will be able to do that. But um, looking at the archetypes for our society, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a mother, and these are like he's fleshing out very practical uh, things for us to do to restore harmony in our relationships. Um, and it starts with the relationship that we have with ourselves. So yeah, it's so much so much to be said about this and this topic in particular. But I'll pass the mic. Wow.
Planetaire.
Duanita. So I guess it's on me. um, it has been an extreme pleasure and honor to sit down with the bot tonight and go over once again, remembering Osir and you know spill our heartfelt thoughts and comments on the book and on this great platform that got set up for the fam, and just to really go in and talk about the different things that are in the book, such as family and the tradition that really is knowledge is information, but this is life changing information. And going forward, these are important things and tools that we can pass down to future generations where we wasn't privy to that. Some of us wasn't privy to it growing up, and now we're getting back and we are remembering the traditions and the knowledge. And it's just been a pleasure, and I'm grateful to be a part of this. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed tonight, and even though I had to go missing for a while, but it was family business. So as long as I'm taking care of the fam, and that's all good to me. Yeah.
Wow, the tell.
Want to tell?
Mr.
Okay. So you know, first and foremost, I want to, say dua, to the Henensu Abat, for your time, taking out the time again, your patience, your dedication, to join us, on this platform. I appreciate you. Love you guys. I want to say dua to, you know, you know, send knowledge born Allah, and to your colleagues, your family would get this wisdom magazine, for extending the platform and welcoming us onto the platform several times now, to share this this information that we've been blessed with from the ancestors with our people. So I want to say dua, for that definitely, and definitely dua to everyone that's tuning in, and those of you that will tune in, understand this, right? So we're talking about the book Remembering Osir, which is a book that is technically considered a the reconstruction, right? The remembering, okay? Remembering Osir. This is the remembering, the reconstructing, the putting back together of the the Kemetic spiritual tradition. This is remembering Osir. This is us putting back together our lineage, our bloodline, remembering our ancestors, remembering the Netaru, remembering the Ter, remembering all of the above, right? This is what this is about. And tonight we built on how this tradition relates to and applies to and has been implemented in our lives and in the lives of our family. Now before we get out of here, I mentioned something earlier, and I said I was going to hold it at the time. I was talking about how you hear people, the naysayers, if you will, mad when they see Africans in the diaspora dealing with, they get mad because our people are drawn to Kemet, and there's a call, there's a pull on Kemet that resonates very deeply with our people, and it frustrates, including those that practice other ATRs, which are part of the greater African traditional spiritual culture of Africa, okay, of our ancestors, along with Kemet. Some of them children of Kemet, okay, and it's like you hating on your great grandmother. What part of the game of that is that? That's not African. But you know what I mean? It's like, when we talk about this, they want to say we don't have rights to this tradition, or this is not our tradition, is not connected to us. Then you hear the brother, Taji, talk about his ancestry, the man, coming from the Mande people, okay. And then if you go, you check out my channel, Aankhu Benu, AANKHBENU, Aankhu Benu on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Check out the lectures, Nile Valley, culture lectures. It's a series that we have. I think parts 1 through 4 are already uploaded, and we got two more parts to upload. And in it, I talk about the migrations and the different people that in West Africa, okay, that trace their lineage, including Southern Africa, that trace their lineage back to the Nile Valley, trace their ancestral origins back to the Nile Valley. And the brothers, the Mandate people, which are responsible, they come from that Ghana Empire, are related to those Africans that crossed the Sahara from the Nile Valley. Okay, and it's evident in the traditions and in the cosmologies. So, when we look at that, understand that all of these people, when we look at Kemet, when we look at the Nile Valley, we are looking at a primordial ancestral tradition next to us as African people on a very primordial genetic ancestral level. And that's important, right? This is the point I wanted to share. There's a text called, it's called, scholars refer to it as the Oracle of the Potter. The Oracle of the Potter. You get a chance, you should look it up. This is a prophecy. The Romans and the Greeks had come in, and our ancestors gave a prophecy about how the Wazungu, how these, who they refer to as the children of Sutesh, the people of Sutesh, okay, how they would fall the throne. You see, and they said that it would be the Neter Ptah. Why the Neter Ptah? It would be through the Neter Ptah that liberation will come to them. Why Ptah? When we look at Ptah, he is a primordial force. It says of Ptah that his head is it's heaven, it's the universe. Okay, and his feet are duat. His feet is the duat, right? So from his head to his toe is the source and the spirit realm. Not even dealing with the physical plane just yet. We're talking about the architect, the builder, right? That divine architect, that divine craftsman, that divine designer and builder. From the primordial, from the source. Building up from the source, from a primordial level. African people, due to our being dismembered by our enemy, and the conditions surrounding our displacement and dismemberment, like Sutesh scattered the body of Osir across the land. You see, African people have been scattered across this world by our enemies. You see, and we're in the process of remembering. And when we come together, various African, all of the ethnicities, all of the groups, you see, that make up our genetics due to the condition that brought us here and the condition that we came up in, resonate with Kemet on a very primordial level because it's a Pan-African nation, and we are truly the most Pan-African people in existence. From a genetic level, we are Pan-African people. So Kemet connects to us on a primordial level because we are people that have been dismembered, cut off, and we are being built up from the ground up. I don't know. So when you hear people say, Kemet ain't yours, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're speaking in ignorance. Right? They're speaking in ignorance. You see? And it is, in essence, the most viable tradition for Africans of the diaspora. I can stand on it, and I can defend it. It's evidence. It's evidence. You want to get into the Kemetic tradition? You want to know what the Kemetic tradition is really about? You want to know how to practice the Kemetic tradition? Stop listening to the talking heads out there misrepresenting, arguing with all these religious nuts, and come here and learn the tradition. And it starts with you getting into your family, getting into your lineage, getting into yourself. I want to say on that, Swanete.
Juanete.
I gotta get my bombs over here. You understand what I'm saying, man? You see the amount of purification that comes through this joint. You understand? I definitely want to thank everybody for their contributions tonight, and it's really laying the groundwork out there for the people who view these archives and get an opportunity to see this work manifest. We in essence become testimonies or testimonials to the authenticity of the work and the intention, the sincere intention that's there in regards to that. So when people look for evidence, they can look to us. You see what I'm saying? With the embodying of this text and the embodying of the traditions, our children and our children's children thereafter don't have to start over. We are here as products of the diaspora, and we are one and done generation. From one generation to the next, we have to reestablish our identity, refine the way, reestablish the connectors, on every facet and every level. So with us remembering, our children and our children's children and our future generations will never forget. So, that is the power of it, to be able to put all of these things back together. You see what I'm saying? And it's painful, because if you look at a contortionist, they can twist and turn their body all different types of ways. You see what I'm saying? But you getting that stuff back into focus. We were forced in a type of way to be mixed up and fixed up, and our body twisted and turned, and people came and used and abused, and people are monetizing and maximizing off of our suffering. But when the healer comes to take you out of a space where you thought you were comfortable and make you realize that you were uncomfortable. You see what I'm saying? So now it's a shift in thought back inward, a shift in thought and a journey back inward. So remember, it means that you have to go in. We have to go back inside. You see what I'm saying? And we have a guide to be able to walk us back through those processes, who did the heavy lifting, who did the labor. And, we had that opportunity in this, family, for our family to be those heavy lifters for our next generation. So they can just walk in, and we could be the openers of the way for them to walk in so they can live in. So they don't have to forget. So they won't have to remember. If you don't forget, you don't have to remember. You see what I'm saying? It would just be a natural progression and a natural type of way of life. So, the points of these conversations and the things that are being brought out are being used as points of reference in case it becomes a roadmap. So in case you lose your way, you can always find your way back. You see what I'm saying? But if we fortify it and it's natural, you see what I'm saying? Like we in the flow, like Moret was bringing out, we don't have to divert. We won't divert off of that path anymore. So I'm definitely thankful to the Abbat for calling in. And don't forget to tune in next week. We'll be right back here on Henensu time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the family. And, we're going to continue to delve into the text. And for the ones who are listening, before we close out, I want to make sure that Uncle Benu tells us exactly where we can get the book.
Absolutely. I want to say do I again, to everybody that joined in, everybody that's tuning in, everybody that will tune in, to get more information, and you want to know where you can get this book, you can visit our website. That's www.henensu, Henensu. That's www.henensu.com. Okay, and just go to the marketplace on the website. Matter of fact, if you look at the home page, you'll see a picture of the book. on the page. You can click the picture and it take you to the book in the marketplace, and you can purchase the book directly from us. I say, this book is for African people. Yeah, we got it on Amazon, but you can get it directly from us. You ain't got to get a crack at half of the money. That's all I'm saying. So, this book is for African people only. Henensu consists of African people. It's for African people only. Okay, so you're interested in learning more, visit the website. You can contact me. I'm very accessible person. I'm not no stuck up, this individual. Okay, so you can contact me, on Facebook. You can hit me on Twitter. You can I say Simon Kwapata, he contacted me from LinkedIn. I say Rob Mary hit me from Twitter. Rob Mary, I say we linked because he came at me sideways on Twitter about the key to E. And we've been tight ever since. So, I'm very approachable. I love my people. I love African people so much. I love, the culture, and this is my Shai. This is my purpose.
That's right.
And so don't hesitate to contact me. And you want to know more about Henensu, just get at us, and we'll fill you in. So that said, Dwanatel once again, Senepti.
Senepti Abat.
Dwas, the terror.
Imhotep.
That means be well. For those of you that are listening, that's be well.
All right, so we're gonna roll up out of here and catch us next week. You understand? Catch us next week. That's right.
That's real talk. I don't care if you're from Florida, Georgia, LA, New York, Carolinas, Brazil, Antarctica, Guam. If you black, you an African, baby. That's all it is to it. Let's go. I know I'm telling the truth now. It don't matter.